Love, it's a beautiful thing. It's such a natural emotion that us as humans experience with so many people in so different ways. But have you ever tried to wonder what makes love tick, how exactly love works, how the inner mechanisms of our body produce such feelings through possibly chemical imbalances or chemical reactions or electronic reactions or wherever scientific stuff that comes that makes sense? Today we're going to be talking about an anime that discusses just that. Today we're going to be reviewing Science Fell in Love, So I Tried to Prove It. To give you basically a idea or premise as to what this show is supposed to be or how this show is supposed to go, basically it's a show about the most nerdiest of people you could ever meet trying to justify loving each other, and it is some of the funniest things that I have ever seen. Okay, well, maybe it's not the funniest thing I have seen, but it definitely gives a little bit of an interesting flavor boost or an interesting twist to the romance genre. Now, the story itself is still a pretty bland story in terms of romance, but it is made interesting with the way that they handle it. Usually with people who are in denial of love or some sort of thing like that, they usually just write out of a typical, oh, it's something else, it's one thing or another, it's blah blah blah. They take a different approach as they try to prove to each other that with this, that they're not in love, or that it's just some reaction of signs that they can just write off as, oh, it is a chemical imbalance and it is a whatever type of thing. They do start off the show by admitting to each other that they might have feelings for them, which definitely threw me off at first, and from there it is just a roller coaster of them just doing various various experiments that try to trigger that same feeling that they have for each other and try to explain it within a scientific way. And honestly, it does give a little bit more interesting of a perspective in terms of some of the things we do for the people that we love. For example, one interesting experiment was the experiment where they tried to test whether normal food cooked by just whatever versus no food that is cooked by someone you actually care about. And it really goes into depth of just like how it's prepared, the set of dishes arranged, even when it's not arranged. It's like the thought of the person that you know made this makes it a little bit extra because you're mixing those happy thoughts with the food, making it better. Like, it does put things into perspective a little bit and makes you think, that's how it works. And while it is not the normal way, it is an interesting way to look at it, and also a kind of retrospective of love in general and just how the little things that we do for each other are like special. Like, even though it could be potentially just, they do a very good job at it being explained in a scientific manner, it's still one of those things that, even though it's explained in a scientific manner, it is still special to those people that we do it for. And that alone is amazing in itself, honestly, because we're able to do those things for those people. Now, while all that is interesting and does make the show interesting and honestly really entertaining to watch through and through towards the end of the show, it is still your typical romance story, like I said before. Like, it plays out the same even towards the end. There is a little bit of difference, and even at the end, we still get the same results that we get for any typical romance anime. So while it does add a little bit of flavor, it doesn't add too much to the point where it deviates from the norm enough. I would have liked to see this show do a little bit more branching out in terms of actually putting forth some entertaining new spins on the whole romance thing. It would have been nice to see, but I understand that you can only do so much with a premise like this, and I still think they did a great job with what they did. Now, my main thing with this is I don't know whether I would want a second season of the show or if I'm comfortable with them just ending it here. Honestly, I think I'm okay with either or, because the ending, I think, was nice enough to know that while they didn't get together, they did kind of confirm exactly that they like each other and how that works. And they pretty much, while they don't seem like they are together, they do in fact still seem to do lovey things towards the end in still the scientific manner that they are used to. But at the same time, there's still a lot of things that we still have to touch on. There is a like B relationship that needs to be explored. I would like to see the girl Kanade, who is the tutor of the two main couples who we'll talk about later, actually experience her own love and her own love and her own feelings towards dealing with everything and doing all that type of stuff. There's so much that can still be touched on that I would want a second season. But if we don't, I think I would be satisfied with just leaving it as it is right now, since what we have right now in front of us is still an interesting product. Now, breaking down the characters, there's actually quite a few to talk about, so what I'm going to be doing is that there's some that I'm going to be talking about in pairings, and there's others that I'm going to just be talking about individually themselves, which would make sense because some of them interact as couples way more than individuals. And the first pairing I'm going to talk about is Himaru and Yukimaru. These are the main couple that we follow who have confessed to each other in the first episode and are trying to figure out their feelings for each other. They're both similar in a sense, as they both are die-hard science fans and they're dedicated to their work. The only difference is it seems like Himaru is a little bit more attached with her emotions, and while she does dedicate herself to science and does dedicate herself to being a scientific mind, she still is trying to be more attached with those feelings and has somewhat more of a negative reaction when she tries to interact with those feelings, as though she just kind of can't comprehend, more than Yukimaru, who seems like he is a lot more detached from his emotions and a lot more serious. But in the terms of dealing with Himaru, he is willing to explore those a little bit more, which is why I'm thinking I would want a second season, because I would really want to see Yukimaru actually go ahead and explore and actually go deeper into those feelings, because I felt like he was also the serious one, which is his personality. I am fine with that, but I think I would like to see him in more of a state of distress, rather than just being that person who kind of has things fly over his head so much because he's so serious, and him maybe succumb a little bit more to the emotional lust that Himaru was also feeling towards the end of the episode, and through that both of them can probably connect and actually have more of a spark feeling. I mean, we do see that towards the end, because they do have their kiss that Yukimaru and Himaru have in their perfect setting to maximize the perfection of their kiss, because it seems like Yukimaru did do it for Himaru's sake, and it seems like he wanted to do it at that time. In my personal opinion, I think I could see a little bit more emotion, because it does seem like he was still doing it for science. But I think I maybe want a point where like they do admit that it's science and they do try to figure out more of the emotions. But at the end of the day, I think I would like to see them just throw that all away in order for them to just straight up admit they love each other. Because what is a better gesture of love than throwing aside all the beliefs that you have and for the person you love? Now, that could be bad in many cases, depending on how you look at it, but I think in this case, it would be an actually very heartfelt moment. Kanade is the next character, and I kind of like her use in this show. She's used kind of as like basically as the audience reactions to how Himaru and Yukimaru react, and she's also pretty much there to explain the more normie side of the love aspect, while Himaru and Yukimaru are there to explain the more scientific stuff, where Kanade is usually used to be like, oh man, love is just something that happens. It's just something that you feel. You do this, you do that. She's basically there to give the regular, normal person recommendations and reactions to how you should act in a relationship, how something should be, how you should replicate this from this certain soap opera, or how you should replicate this from this romantic comedy movie, or all that stuff. She's basically used kind of as the catalyst to give them ideas as to what they need to do in order to actually recreate that. We do get a little bit more of her character development as well, but I don't think it was truly necessary in order for us to really experience what exactly the show is or what her character's purpose was. I think for what she did and how much she was given, I think they used her the right amount in the appropriate way. Then we have the pairing of Ibarara and Inukai, where Ibarara seems to give the more pervy aspect of how relationships works, and Inukai seems to give a little bit more of that suave bro look, but also at the same time giving a more neat look as to things, as to giving these perspective of you don't have to just fall in love with humans, you can fall in love with AI characters or characters from video games, which is the character that he's dating, giving the more video game neat aspect of the relationship, and like I said before, Ibarara giving the more pervy side of the aspect of love for on her side. These two seem to have their own little relationship thing going on, but it doesn't seem to get much attention, as I think we only get 1 or 2 scenes in certain episodes where we see some scenes of Ibarara and Inukai interacting. Obviously, we get some backstory that they are like friends from very, very back in the day, who ended up just working in the same place. It seems like Ibarara, while being mean to Inukai, does seem to have some feelings for him and seems to find him in a fonder light than she puts on, and Inukai potentially doing the same, but just being a weird dude and doesn't really know how to approach it. I would also like to get to see this a little bit more, as we saw almost none of this in season 2. We more saw Inukai kind of giving his own research study, which was a little part in the show, but giving their own research studies on the things that they were following, where Kanades was her interaction with relationship, and there was a whole other one. The new guys was basically finding the right course and the fastest, most efficient way to get to the best scene or best end game of a dating simulator, which I find immensely funny as fuck, which does make sense in a lot of ways, which also just bothered me as I sat there like, wow, this man is so woke on dating simulators. It is almost funny, but I would like to see more of their relationship blossom if we ever got a second season of this. I think it would be kind of a nice little contrast, since theirs is a little bit more vanilla, so we wouldn't have to go too deep into it. We can keep it short and simple, since they are B-plot, and theirs would be the probably very, very vanilla type of relationship. But it would be cool to see, childhood friends who have feelings for each other but don't really know how to say it because they have their childhood friends and they don't really want to lose that per se, but still have their own issues. I think it's cute. I think it'll be a cute thing to explore. Also, by the way, sorry if I'm butchering these names. I'm just not good at pronouncing shit if I do get them wrong. Then we have Ikeda, who is basically like their professor or their overseer of their projects and whatnot. He is what teachers should strive to be. Just cool, laid back, caring, but also like at the same time can be very serious teacher if you slack off. Like, this would be the type of teacher that I would want in college. The teacher who, like, if I am slacking off, he would get on my ass. He would be like that fucking just super furious fucking buff ass dude. But at the same time, if you genuinely are lost or genuinely just don't know what to do and you seem like you're at an impasse with not only your project but maybe even your life choices, you can give him some pretty interesting guidance on what to do, and I think he fits his role very well. Plus, this man is just ripped, and he's probably one of the funniest characters in the show. Last but not least, I tried to find her name. It seems like that both Mal and the Wikipedia just don't mention this character at all, despite the fact her being a very, very huge catalyst towards the end of the show. But the manga artist that was a former student of Ikeda's back in the day, who comes on them with vacation and ends up fucking up everything or causing an incident in order for her to be able to write her manga. Yeah, she's a bitch. That's all I'm gonna leave it at. She's a bitch. If you're gonna go as far as to ruin stuff like that and cause so much problems, all for you to write a story, you're a cunt. You're a cunt, and there's just no way of really getting around that. Now, in terms of animation, I honestly don't really have much to say in terms of animation. The style was nice. It was clean. It was nothing too out of the ordinary. It wasn't bad, but it wasn't good. It is what all anime should probably strive for in terms of just, if you want the bare minimum, you look like a good show, that is what this is. The opening was fine, a little colorful, had the typical, you know, upbeat, romantic type of opening. There were some scenes in the show that did really look good. Like towards the end, that sea shot looked really nice. The little beach shots and forest shots, the actual background and scenery did genuinely look good. It's just there's nothing in the show that typically stood out. Obviously, they added a little bit more effects when it came to those intense scenes where it was Himmaru and Yukimaru, my god, I forgot his name, Jesus Christ. But both of the main characters who would interact with each other and have their love moment. Obviously, the animation for that was bumped up a little bit. But other than that, there's nothing too crazy to really mention about this, if I'm being honest. Overall, I thought it was a decent show. If you're looking for a genuine, just short 12 episode, kind of different romance that actually gives a nice scientific spin on why the things that we do are effective and ineffective in terms of getting a mate or interacting with the person that you love, I would say watch it. It's a good show to watch. I think it was cute, it was nice, it gives a little bit of a new view in terms of the windows of relationships and love, and it's something that I would definitely recommend would be a really good romance to watch. I'd probably give this I'm going to be giving this show a 7 out of 10. And there we go. I hope you enjoyed the review. I know I haven't made a review in, my god, I don't even know. When's the last time I actually did a legitimate anime review? It has legitimately been 2 months. It has legitimately been 2 months since I did a proper anime review, and that was on the Fire Force Season 2, so it has been a good while to actually sit down and do an anime review, but I'm glad I did one. I hope you guys did enjoy it as well. Obviously, as usual, if you need to follow any of my social medias, or if you want to listen to my podcast, if you want music, to the little meme rap music that I made, everything is going to be in the link in the description below. Yeah, that's it. I got nothing else to say. Just if you want to follow all that shit, links in the description below. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe if you actually like this video, and I will see you guys within the next video. Have a wonderful day. Peace.